Okay, June 3rd, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. In this session, we're going to talk about using the reader inside of BloodHound. I have a few different workspaces for you with different markets. I'm going to show you how to change those workspaces to another instrument, how to update the instrument that you're using inside of BloodHound, inside of the reader, and then how to access some of the different data points from within that reader inside of BloodHound. Okay, so that was one of the major updates, being able to access the static profiles. For instance, the value area high, value area low, the VPOC, and all of that. And I can see here one more thing that I'm going to add to that update, which is only reading the bars outside of this static profile. It really doesn't matter as far as together with your other conditions that you put into BloodHound, because by the time that you draw this in real time, those bars have already passed. So as far as for updating bars, like, in real time trading, it's not going to access any of those bars anyhow unless you refresh the chart. So I'm just talking about these bars that we're getting signals on, because these bars are touching that point of control. So right now the reader is accessing the point of control, and it's giving an output in BloodHound on every bar that is touching that black line. And that black line, of course, will extend to the far right edge virtually in the background in BloodHound. Okay, so let's first cover accessing the different data points of the profile. That was a specific question that someone had asked that I wanted to address. I think in your current version, it's not accessing them correctly. It's only accessing them from within inside of this box and not to the right. It accesses the updating profile correctly, but not the static profile. Static profile is just a profile that you've drawn from one data point, one bar to the next, not to the far right edge. You can see that when you draw to the far right edge, that green outline will become dark red. See that? Then it becomes an updating profile. Right? These data series within the reader are a different set, and you'll see that it says updating VPOC or updating value area. Here's the reader inside of BloodHound. Here we have the chart that we've selected. And then what are we reading? What is the data series that we're after? In this case, I'm looking at the VPOC. You could select the updating VPOC. Okay, so these were working correctly, but these static profiles were not. All right, so let's do this from scratch so that you can see, just as a little refresher, how to do it inside of BloodHound. And this weekend I'm going to hopefully build the installer this evening or tomorrow sometime, and I'll get that up as soon as it's done. And then I'm going to, if it kills me, I'm going to finish the videos for using this inside of BloodHound on your own, so that you can build whatever you want. But it's really straightforward. I mean, you have BloodHound here. You load BloodHound onto the chart. All of the previous webinars, we've shown how to do that. And then you simply load an indicator threshold solver. Open up the indicator and load the reader. It's the TTP reader. It's kind of a cheesy name, but we work with what we've got. There it is, capital TTP reader. And then you select the chart that you're reading from. This is the only chart on the workspace. Now this was a new addition as well. You see how it says all charts now? We're reading the charts from either all of the charts available within Ninja or all of the charts available from within the current workspace. All right, and then again, this is one that we had added last time. Are we going to read the bars from the base chart, the chart that we have BloodHound on, or are we going to read the bars from the chart that we're actually drawing the areas on? And in this case, it's one and the same. The base chart is the read chart because this is the only chart on the workspace upon which I have loaded, or within which I've loaded BloodHound. And then of course you can use the entire length of the bar or the closing price of the bar. For this example, we'll just use the full bar read chart. I'm not going to use any threshold, so the bar actually has to touch the area that we're looking at. And then I will select that YM0616 5 minute. That's the only one available. So when you click on this little down arrow, it's going to show you every chart available. If I were to set this to all charts, then I can select all of the charts from within Ninja. These are all of the open charts right now. So it just depends on how you want to set it up. If you want your higher time frames on a different workspace and then BloodHound on a particular workspace, you would have to use all charts. Here we'll set it to current workspace and then select the only chart available, and then we'll select the VPOC. Now when you first load it, it may not give you any output. All right, the new bars would, the new incoming bars would, but the old bars may not. And that seems to have been something that was introduced into BloodHound through the optimizations that they did. It's kind of a little tricky between historical, instantly when you load the indicator into the solver. Sometimes you get the historical right away, sometimes you don't. I don't know what the deal is with that, but if you're doing historical work and you're doing some back testing, or you're just trying to figure out how things work, you just simply need to ensure that you're going to get the output by hitting F5. And if that doesn't work, then you open up the solver. I don't know why it does that. It's been a bit of an issue lately. Oh, here, sorry, I forgot to give you the output. All right, so now we're looking at this as starting from scratch. So in order to get output, this is important if you're doing this on your own, each bar is set to a value of 1 when you get the signal. All right, it's either on or off. It's essentially a boolean, true or false. False is 0, true is 1. So you need to set the long output and the short output because we're not differentiating between long and short from a bar touching the VPOC. You would have to, set long or short based on whether the market's going down or up, or you're pulling back to the VPOC, or, using stochastics or, some kind of oscillator, or maybe a swing trend or something like that. So we set the output to 1 for long and 1 for short, and then we'll get both long and short output out of BloodHound. And what I've done, since when it's set to green and red, it makes this ugly brown color and it's really hard to see. What I've done is simply change those output colors in BloodHound to yellow. So if you load BloodHound and then open up the indicators property window, you'll see the long confidence and the short confidence. I've simply set those to yellow. Okay. So that thing about the historical bars sometimes not calculating for BloodHound, it's a toss-up. It's a 50-50 chance. Sometimes it will display instantly the historical bars. It's always going to display the incoming bars because it's always recalculating at the close of every bar. All right, but if for some reason You load this, you set it to whichever data series that you're looking for. Here, read, we're going to read the VPOC. Each bar touching the VPOC will be equal to 1. That's why we set 1 here for the long output, 1 for the short output. If you're not seeing that output instantly, then you simply refresh the chart. I don't know what the deal is with this. So bizarre. The historical thing is a little bit, I know some of you have written in and asked them about it. I think Jeremy's looking into it. So if it doesn't work from reloading for historical, just open up that solver and click OK. I'm going to work with Zach and Jeremy on trying to get that worked out. It's just some kind of little glitch with the historical, but every single incoming bar will be calculated correctly. So in real time, it's working fine. All right, so we'll have to cover that at the end. It's simply a matter of loading the template into Raven and turning it on. But that's not something I would do anyhow, because that would be automating these signals. And you would have to build out your other rules for your entries as far as, making a fully automated system out of this to where it's going to actually enter trades for you. That's the only time you're going to use Raven is if you're trying to let the machine enter the trades for you. And that's not something I would recommend at all. So if we wanted to measure something else, let's say the value area high, we just simply have to change that. So this is a static profile. So we're not going to use the updating profile, but the static profile, the upper value area, the value area high, upper value area, which is up here. So this line, top of the red is the upper value area. So every bar that's touching that will have an output of 1. Every bar that's not touching it will have an output of 0. And then if you want the value area low or the lower value area, you simply set it to the lower value area. If you guys want, I could add in one data series that would give you the value area high, low, and the VPOC if you wanted. It just depends on how many people would actually want that. So these are the only bars that are touching the value area low down here. Why not give those, Brian is asking, why not give those a different value and color? What do you mean give those a different value and color? You've only got one color in BloodHound, long or short. I can't use BloodHound to give one color for one data series and then another color for another. It's in BloodHound 2.0. Yeah, when you guys are writing in the chat window, select to everyone. And I'll make Clint a panelist now so Clint can field some of those questions. BloodHound 2.0 will let you do that. So you'll be able to select the color of the output for each individual solver. But that's probably going to be for Ninja 8. You're looking at least another year to be able to do something like that. So BloodHound gives one output color for long, one output color for short, and I've made both of those yellow. But I could add as many different data series as requested. I mean, I'm going to add a few more based on whether the baseline is sloping up or down, the grade of the channel, whether the median lines are sloping up or down, stuff like that. And then when a bar is touching both the center median line and the trend channel, that will be one specific data series. So I have a list of different data series that we'll be adding. So if anybody wants a very specific one, go ahead and write in about that, and I'll send that to the programmer. Where did the VPOC indicator come from? I made it. I created it. Volume profile is something that's been around for 12 years, something like that. So there are different volume profile indicators all over the internet. But this one is, where is it in Ninja, Larry? It's on the toolbar right here. It's this VP button on the toolbar. So in order to get that on the toolbar, you right click on the toolbar and then add this volume profile tool. So this volume profile tool, which is that green VP button, if it's on the right, then you select it and move it over. Well, that's what I just showed you, Larry. This is the reader indicator. You led the TTP reader right here into a threshold solver, and you select whichever line you want to read from the toolbar. You can select all the market geometry lines or each individual market geometry line all by itself. Or you could select the different areas from the volume profile. And then you've got the updating profile. And then you have the, this is the VWAP from the profile, and then the updating VWAP. Let's see. No, sorry, this is the VWAP, the moving VWAP. This moving VWAP is the blue button. Yeah, it's for programming, Heinz. It's for programming within BloodHound. That's what the reader's for. All right, I'm just going to get on with the presentation here. So I'll answer some questions later. So if we wanted to access that updating VWAP here and get signals from this bar that is touching it here, this bar that's touching it here, or this bar that's touching it there, then we would select the VWAP moving right here. And there we have each bar that's touching that VWAP. If you wanted to access those standard deviations, you would select the VWAP standard dev, STD. The problem with this is it's giving you that first, okay, I'm going to have to differentiate between those. It's giving you the first and second. So I'm going to have to split this one into two different data series. Yeah, we'll split that one. The one that you're talking about, Clint, I think is on, it's a different indicator. The one that we have on the charts all the time. Okay, so that's just the basics of the reader. Now what I've done is I have created a few different workspaces here. And rather than doing the swing trading like we did last time, I'm doing just 4 charts for day trading, and then I'm going to show you how to change them if you want to. All right, but before we do that, the last time we met, we had created a workspace for swing trading, which since that time, the contract has rolled over to the July contract from the June for, let me show you. For the crude, okay? So this workspace is called the TTP Swing Trading CL blank 6th of May. So if this was, the smallest chart was a 10-minute chart, and you would have to draw all of the areas across every single chart in order to get any signals. People were wondering, why don't we have any signals? Why aren't there any signals? Well, because you either haven't drawn the market geometry in, or there hasn't been an alignment of the market geometry. So with a swing trading template, you may get a signal once every few days. And I did that specifically because a lot of people asked me for a swing trading workspace for use with this market geometry stuff. So in order to update this one, all you have to do is move over to the 7. So see, we're on CL616. You've got to move over to the 7 for every chart. So we'll just go through every chart and update to the 7. And then simply change those inside of BloodHound. So if you've already done this, but you haven't made the changes inside of BloodHound, then you're not going to get any signals anyway. And I'll send out an updated workspace for this workspace as well, along with a few other swing trading workspaces. So we have every chart updated to the 7, as you can see down here. And then we go to that 10-minute chart. This should be the only chart with BloodHound on it. It's the only chart with BloodHound on it. I worked with a couple of people that had taken this BloodHound template and had put it on every single chart on this workspace. You can't do that. It has to be on this one 10-minute chart, and that's it. And this is at the TTP Swing Trading CL blank 6th of May, 2016. Yeah, this is on ES2. No, this is very light, very, very light within BloodHound. Takes up hardly any resources at all. All right, so what you have to do is you have to go through each one of these and update the reader. Do this after the new update, after you install the new update, because you're going to have this setting right here that you'll want to change to current workspace. Anyway, I'm going to do this for you and send you out the workspace. I just want you to understand that when you roll a contract over, you have to then update that contract within BloodHound inside of the reader. Otherwise, it's not reading from anything. It's reading from a chart that's non-existent. So we're rolling over from the 6 to the 7, and that's it. And then the 1440, we're rolling over from the 6. First of all, we're going to set this to current workspace, and then rolling over to the 7. Okay, I'm not going to do this for everyone. I just want you to understand that this is something you have to do every time the market rolls over. Read from current workspace, change it from the 6 to the 7, and then you're good. Okay? So I won't spend the time to do that for every single chart on this workspace. So then let's go to the new workspaces. Okay, so this is one for Crude, and I've set this to read, just so you guys get familiar with this, I've set this to only 4 charts with 4 solvers inside of BloodHound. Okay, if you want to get the hang of this, you're going to have to learn how to do this. You're going to have to learn how to use BloodHound, at least, a little bit. And I know it's a little bit tricky at first, but you have the solvers tab. This is each one of the solvers. This is reading from the 20-minute, all the market geometry lines. This is reading from the 789 tick, all the lines. Each one is reading from all of the lines. Now for the logic templates, there are 2 different selections. This one is requiring that every single chart, a bar from every single chart, be touching an area from every single chart. All right, every single chart has to be touching an area. This one is requiring only 2 of each chart. Okay? So when you're using only 2 of each chart and you have a lot of lines drawn everywhere, you're going to be getting a lot of signals. Right? We're not doing direction out of these yet. We're just getting signals to notify you when you're at an area with a confluence of areas in market geometry. When you're at time and price with a confluence in the market geometry areas. All right, I'm using the strict one. All 4 charts have to be touching an area. And you can see today in Crude, I'm using a 1 minute and a tick chart. Today in Crude, obviously you had the high here on this upper median line, and you had the low here at the warning line of that median line. And then over here, you had the low at the bottom of this trend channel right here. All right, now on the 20 and the 5, you had the low directly on a trend line, which was pretty easy, pretty straightforward. And then on the 5, you also had a low occurring on the lower median line. So you had a lot of very clear areas. You had these highs could not make it through. I was trying to trade through it, and it just never went through. And then it came down and failed, and it found support at the opposite trend, opposite median line, came almost all the way back to the upper, and then down to the lower again. And then here it bounced off of that, essentially a double bottom, but it bounced off that channel line and trend line from the 20. So on this bar, you had time and price coming together across all of the charts for a signal out of BloodHound. Does everybody understand this? Have I lost anyone? So on this bar, you're touching an area. Well, here you're 2 ticks away from it. You're touching an area from every single chart on this group of bars right here. Here I'm requiring all 4. You could require 2 out of 2, 2 out of 4, I mean, which is 1 of either the 20 or the 5, or 1 from the 789 or 1 minute. To do what you're saying, Brian, I would add another OR and then connect the 5 and the 789 together, then you have signals everywhere. So 1 from the higher, 5 is obviously smaller than the 20, but 1 from the minute charts, the 5 and the 20, and then an area from either the 789 or the 1 minute. Follow me? So one of these two or one of these two. But here I'm using all 4. So all 4 have to be in agreement. All 4 have to be touching an area. And in that case, this is the only signal that we had on this day, today. I did the same thing for the 6E, for the ES, the FDAX, and the YM. And at the end here, I'll show you how to save the workspace. Let somebody give, like, what other markets would somebody want? We'll change one workspace to another market so that you know how to do that. But this is going to require that you draw in the market geometry areas. And obviously you're not going to be drawing, just random from here to here and hope that that's going to give you some kind of a good signal. Obviously you have to use major swings. You're not just randomly drawing these in. If you are, then you're going to get signals everywhere. And that's something you just have to get the feel for. Any particular market anyone else would like to have besides the 6E, the FDAX? We got 1 vote for the ZB. 1 minute chart for the ZB is not pretty at all. I have the YM and the ES. Samir is saying the 4 minute for the ZB. Clint wants the NQ. Yeah, what are you doing with NQ? NG.
Okay.
All right, maybe we'll do one of each, but you understand that in order to get signals, and here they're going to be yellow because it's not biased as to long or short, you have to have the areas drawn on the chart. You're not going to just magically get signals. You have to draw in the market geometry. Here we have the ES, and I've drawn in here on the tick chart, high to high. We have the lower median line here. I don't know how great that one is really, but it worked for the example. And then here on the 1 minute, this is just standard. Because this is such a steep and fast move down, you draw a channel like this and it's just going straight down. So I'm using the first swing high followed by the next. See, this doesn't really give you much of anything at all. So I'm using this swing point and this swing point, and that's giving me the support for the median line there. Okay, so that's the area from the 1 minute, but you're waiting to get down to the final area on the 5 minute and the 20. So on the 5 minute and the 20, this bar right here is going to be this same bar. And you can see where I've drawn that from the recent high to the recent high. And that's given me the low here on the median line. It came through the warning line of the channel which is this line here, came down to the median line to within like 1/8 of a tick, and then it came up to 1 tick exactly, right on the line, both right on the line here and right on the line here for the upper and lower median line. Isn't that interesting? And then we use the median line support right here. Isn't that fascinating? And then here on the 20, I've disconnected from low to low, and the end of this move is in line with the 100% warning line of the median lines. We were using the midline of this channel as support here. Really, this was several different areas, but just from these two swings, we had at least this one warning line right there. So then when we go back to the 1 minute, when you use the strict template, only this bar is giving you signal. If I change it to 2, then you have a lot more signals. So it just depends on how many lines you've drawn. If you're only drawing very specific lines and you know that when one of those is touched, you want to get some kind of alert or signal, then you could use 2 out of the 4. If you want to just kind of get familiar with how this works and run it forward and see some signals and understand where those signals are coming from and why, then run it for a couple of days like this with a 2 out of 4, the relaxed version. And then if you want to use 4 out of the 4, then use the strict version. And if you only want to use 2 charts or 3 charts, you can simply open this up and disconnect whichever charts you don't want to use. So if you don't want to use that tick chart, then you just disconnect it. If you don't want to use the 1 minute, well, you don't have to use the 1 minute, but you can run BloodHound on the 1 minute. All right, because these are using the bars from the base chart. So I'll show you how to do that when we change the workspace. No, Craig. Ninja can't recognize drawing objects. So that's why the toolbar is the way that it is. So you're only going to recognize areas that are drawn from these buttons right here, these 3 buttons, or the volume profile or the VWAP. Not the standard NinjaTrader drawing objects. They're not, well, they're not available as individual data series anyway, but if you're using all market geometry lines, no, those are not available. Yeah, right. When I add in whether it's sloping up or down, then we'll be able to make more precise signals and actually get long and short out of this better. I mean, right now you could say, well, because there's bullish divergence there in the RSI and it's oversold, then you would definitely only want to get a long signal there and not a short. And just depending on, how you want to count this, you definitely have segmented waves, which is why you wouldn't be trying to take it here or here. Waiting to come down to the area, waiting to get some actual wave structure within the move. No, I can't show the relative volume. This is strictly for the toolbar and BloodHound. So So as I draw on the short time frames, like the 1 minute in real time, BH updates automatically. Yeah, every bar that comes in, it's recalculating everything. Yeah, thanks, Mike. It's included with the toolbar. So when you install the toolbar on the Master Suite Pro, it's there in the list, but you're not going to use it on the chart. You would only use it inside of BloodHound. So it's TTP. Reader. Okay, so that's how those workspaces work. We'll look at how they're going to come when you open them up, and then how to change those. So I have the one for the 6E open right here. Yeah, Mike, if we have some time at the end, I'll come back and show the volume there. I just want to get through this for the guys that are pressed for time and have been wanting to see this. So this is the way it's going to open up. Your control center may be, wherever it was the last time you used it, but they're going to open up depending on the size of your screen. They're going to be small in the top left corner, and you'll have the 20 minute, the 1 minute on which the BloodHound indicator is loaded, and then a tick chart. And I'm trying to get that tick chart during market hours relatively closer to the 5 minute chart. So it's going to be bigger than the 1 minute, maybe a little bit faster than the 5 minute during market hours. And then you have a 5 minute. So you want to have that tick chart because the areas are going to be a little bit different on the tick as opposed to the minute. Sometimes they line up perfectly on the tick and not at all on the minute chart. So on the 1 minute, it's going to come set to strict. Of course, you could set that to relaxed. And then if you find that you only want to use 2 charts, then you can simply make your own workspace in templates. So if you want to make your own workspace, let's say I want to make a new version of this 6E template, the 6E workspace and BloodHound template. So I'm going to go to File, Workspaces, Save Workspace As, and set this to Daniel 6E 2 charts. And I will delete this 1 minute chart. I don't want to use the 1 minute. All right. I don't want to use it. So I'm going to delete it. I just want to use a 30 minute and a 5 minute. And I don't want this silly tick chart because it's just silly. And I want to put BloodHound on the 5 minute and only look at areas from the 5 and the 30, and that's it. So before I move on, let me just go ahead and save it one more time. Save it. And then load BloodHound here. Everybody knows how to load an indicator, right? Because if you don't, better hang it up and then find that BloodHound template or go back and watch some videos. And we're going to load the TTP toolbar 6E since I've already got the instrument loaded in there, the 6E. So we find the TTP. Of course, if you don't have it in the list, you go to Open, File, Open. 6E is right here. I open that. I'm going to go ahead and rename it. So I'm going to go to File, Save As. And let's say I want to make it just Daniel 6E two charts, and save. All right, then I want to go to the logic tab. I need to go to both 4 of 4 and 2 of 4. I'm going to delete the 1 and the 233. Make this one a 30. So I'll change the name from 20 to 30. And if I'm going too fast, you can always come back, watch the video. I'll get it up tonight. Watch the video and pause it. But it's very simple. You just change the name, change the chart. So now there's only going to be two charts available in this workspace, the 5 or the 30. I already have the 5 loaded, so I'm going to set the 30 right here. And then you can adjust the threshold. Let's say with a 30, maybe I want to allow the signal if it's within 5 ticks. So we'll say 5 ticks, maybe 6. All right, so now you have the 30 and the 5, and that's it. So now when I go to the 2 of 4, I got this. So I got to go back. It's like so. We're going to delete the 233 and the 1. Delete those. I'll delete that and node. And this would be what we would call 1 of 2. It's either or, either areas from the 30 or the 5. But see, in this case, it's really not that useful because you're going to be getting signals when any single line is touched from any single chart. If you want to get alerts like that, then you can simply use the indicator to give you alerts like that. So really, this is kind of redundant. So let's not even bother with it. Let's just delete that template, that logic tab, and just focus on this one. We'll name it 2 of 2. Everybody with me? Or is this melting minds out there? I've just simply deleted that other 2 of 4 logic tab. So now we're just going to focus on this one logic tab, and I'll come back to the solvers and delete that 1. Okay. I need to go ahead and save it first. All right, so I'll go ahead and save this and load it. Click OK. We're going to load this on the 5-minute chart, and I'll set it to give me yellow output from the long, yellow from the short. Where are you? And we're good. Tighten this up a little bit. And save this workspace one more time. And now come back and I'll delete those unnecessary solvers. 5. Oh, I try to delete the 5. See, it won't let you delete it if it's being used on the logic tab, which is good. It will save you from making mistakes like I just did. So delete that 233. Now you're left with a 30 and the 5. All right, and you're only going to be getting signals when these two charts are in agreement. Like I said, when we add in the slope, then you can really start building confluence and agreement and trend and all of that. All right, so let's say we have an area where do we have a trend line here? I believe we do have a trend line. Let's just make one happen for the sake of time. Not quite touching right there, but it's touching here. There we go. And then maybe on the 5, we have an area right there. Look at that. See, this is going to be one very particular signal. right here. This is the one I look for a lot. It's actually not even the final signal that was. But see, you weren't touching the area on the 30 until that bar. So when we refresh it now, you see, actually you were touching apparently right here. But now when you're touching, let me see that I set that 30-minute chart correctly. Maybe I gave it, no, I got the base chart 5. Maybe I'll set it to like 3. Yeah. So how many ticks are we right here? We've got, yeah, it's only about 4 ticks away. So because we're touching this median line right here, so if I used, that's another thing I'm going to do something about. When we break a median line, should we stop drawing it? Something I got to look into. But if we were to draw just the trend channel, then we would get just these 2 channels, or just these 2 signals from the lower channel, from the trend channel. Now we're still getting it on this one right up here. That bar must be close enough to this line, which seems a little bit odd to me. Yeah, it seems odd. It's not within 3 ticks, is it? It's more like 5 ticks. Yeah, it's fine, but I just want to make sure that that tick threshold is actually 100%. All right, now I'll set it to 1. And this is something you'll want to do. You want to check and kind of fine tune this thing so that it's doing exactly what you want. All right, there's 1 tick. And then 2 ticks. This is really pretty cool how this all works. All right, so 2 ticks is allowing that signal that's touching this bar. This one's going to allow a lot of signals. Should. No? Well, anyway. This threshold may not be exactly correct. I think it is exactly correct. There's just something weird going on this bar, as if it were. Well, I know what it is. It's this bar right here. That bar is within 2 ticks of this line. That's what's going on. The low of that bar. You see it? So that's how you would set it up for just 2 charts. So if you wanted to go back and then set up the same exact workspace for a different instrument, which we'll go ahead and do, I'll close this one. Look at that volume divergence. Should have definitely shorted that and bought that. All right, here is, I've got to open that workspace because I saved it as a different name. So we'll open up the 6E. TTP ToolBar 6E fast for day trading, 3rd of June. All right, I'll go ahead and save it as a new name. We'll save it as TTP ToolBar NG. and then come back and change these to natural gas. NG. NG, whoops. NG, and I'll go ahead and save this as NG. TTP toolbar. I'm saving the BloodHound template now. NG. Save. And then change the other charts. NG. And NG. Okay. We go ahead and save that, and then we'll come back to the 1 minute chart and we'll change the instruments to read only these 4 NG charts. Okay. So we open up the BloodHound user interface. You can do it from the solvers tab, or you can come to the logic tab and do it. It's going to automatically update the same solvers for each, forgot about that, for each logic tab. So I'll do it from the solvers. I'll open up the 20 and set the 20 to now read, instead of the 6E, to read the natural gas 20 minute. 233. Let's see if the 233 is actually going to work first of all. All right, so here's the 233. I think that's a little bit slow. I want it to look similar to the 5 minute chart. All right, so this is the 5 minute. That's kind of pretty close, isn't it? Yeah, that's good. It could be a little bit faster maybe, but we'll just keep it like that. So then I'll simply set it to natural gas. Whoops, that's the 20. We already changed that one. So now the 233, we'll select natural gas 233. Natural gas 233. 5 minute. Natural gas 5 minute. And then the 1 minute. 6E, no. Natural gas 1 minute. Okay, and then we've already got it named, so we simply save it. You just close it to save anyway. You hit that X button, it automatically saves. And now we're good. So where is the 1 minute? Right here. So now you just start drawing on all of those charts. You move them how you want, and then you draw your areas in. If you want to create some solvers for something else, let's just name this as test. I can copy this. Let's say I want to read from the 5 minute. I want to read the moving VWAP. So I'll open this up. We've already got the 5 minutes selected, so I'll say the VWAP moving right there. Say I want it to actually touch or within 1 tick, and I want to read from the 1 minute chart, the bars from the 1 minute chart, so that I don't have to wait. It's not necessarily a matter of waiting, just that I don't get, for every 5 minute bar that's touching, that's 5 1 minute bars that you'll get a signal out of. So I really only want to get the signals out of the 1 minute bars that are touching. Not, if that makes sense to you. You understand what I'm saying? For every 5 minute bar that you get a signal on, that equates to 5 1 minute bars that you'll get that signal. When I select base chart, I'm only going to get the signal on the 1 minute bar that's actually touching the area on the 5 minute chart. So it's just a way of fine-tuning that signal, fine-tuning the bar on which you get the signal. Because we don't want to get, we don't want to get signals from an area. Let's say this line were drawn right here, right? We don't want to get signals all the way on these bars up here just because they are included within that 5-minute bar. We only want to get the signals that are actually touching the area, only the bars that are touching the area. So that's why we select to read from the base chart. So we're reading the bars from the 1-minute chart while the areas are from the 5-minute. Understood? And there we go. So now if we want to include a new signal, build a new one, we could say, let's copy this one and say including VWAP moving. We can add this in and say that it also has to be touching the midline of that VWAP that we've drawn on the 5-minute chart and only take trend trades. All right. I'll include a slope solver for that VWAP in the next one as well. Let me write that down. And that's how you do it. And then you start drawing and waiting for the bars to update. And you can set those alerts in BloodHound so that when all of these conditions are coming together, let's say you're trying to watch a couple of markets, you're trying to use the computer more to actually help you do this trading so that you can watch more markets. You can turn on these alerts and then set the sound files accordingly to however you want. And then when an area is met, you get a signal and you bring that market up and decide if it meets some of your other discretionary conditions. All right, so this is what, once I get that toolbar 3.0 and we get this thing really fine-tuned as far as direction and size of channel and slope and all that, then we'll be able to really do a lot more with this thing. Thanks, Bruce. It's only going to get better. Only going to get better. So let's go back and look at that volume that Mike was wanting to see on Crude or the ES, Mike. Yeah, I'm doing mostly swing, but I don't know. We're looking at 7 markets now. And the smallest chart that I'm looking at for those 7 is a 5-minute. But when we come to an area, then I'll open up a faster chart. But I'm waiting until some of the larger major areas are hit. So you could call it swing trading if you want, but really it's a matter of waiting for areas on larger charts as opposed to some of the less, whatever you want to call it, less probable areas of reversal on some of the faster charts. So right now we're doing the NG, natural gas, bond, ZB, crude oil, CL, ES, S&P 500, YM, Dow futures. Help me out. What else we got?
Natural gas.
Yeah, I got natural gas. The 6E. There's one I'm missing.
I wasn't paying attention. So.
Yeah, ZB, natural gas, ES, YM,
Gold.
6E, and gold. Yeah, and gold. Not NASDAQ. Just YM and ES. It's too much to do all 3. I don't see, I'd rather do Dow than NASDAQ just because more people prefer the Dow simply because it's a smaller tick value. I asked some people and more people are trading the YM than the NQ. So Bruce is asking, do I find using larger time frames as your charts more profitable? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we're doing 240, a 20-minute, and a 5-minute for each of those markets. And then with a CL, I'm still looking at a lot of different charts for the CL because that's kind of my baby. It's what I've always spent the most time with. So we tend to kind of focus more on the crude oil.
More trades.
Yeah. I mean, today it's set up for a nice trade. It just didn't completely follow through. And yet I was up, 60 ticks, 65 ticks.
Yeah.
But it didn't. I thought it was going to go, another 30, and it just didn't. So I made money on it, but I didn't make as much as I could have. So at any rate, where are we at here? Where is the 5-minute chart? Well, I can show you right now that 5-minute chart in crude oil right here. Right here and right here. Because I have it open here. All right, so that's the area in the RTH chart, which came down perfectly to the tick just before the close, right to the tick on that trend line there. It overthrew this channel on the 20, came down to the median line, lower median line. I believe it was actually an area from here, I believe. No. I think it was this lower median line that it also hit. Yep. You see that lower median line there? Let me just delete this one. You got two median lines coming together right there. I'll delete this one too, just to make it, this is what gave us the high right here last night, or this morning, whatever, 3:30 in the morning, which seems to be the best trades. And then we had two median lines coming together right there, which was pretty spot on. I think Christian bought it right here, and then I was, building all these files, finishing building these files. So at that low where we got the signal, that would be right here, which was not quite at this trend line, but this trend line was used to find this high for the channel, essentially just before that channel, because that's what we reversed off of, the 61.8 and the channel line, where you have a buying climax and a churn bar, followed by an even stronger churn bar with a narrower range, almost a doji, closing off of the highs past the midpoint of the bar, straight down to the next area, which that was that lower median line that you saw on the big chart on the 20-minute, which is why you need higher time frames, multiple time frames. And then double bottom, bullish divergence with, what do you got? What is that? What's that called? Volume divergence. So you have a huge selling climax with over 400% relative volume, followed by not just a churn bar, but an extreme churn bar telling you that demand is definitely 100% coming in right there. And then you get the sign of strength, the nice little ABC. One more push down to test that low. Successful test with very, very low volume, less than 80%. And it turns out pretty neat. And it was also the trend line on the tick charts. I know it can be kind of daunting or, difficult to trade like this, but it's worth learning. It really is. If you want to make money at trading and stop messing around, it takes a lot of work, but it's worth it. All right. Mike is asking, do you think it might be best to be day trading the London Open? Yeah. Seems like it's the bottom of the top of the day most days. Yeah, I would say 50% of the time, maybe more than that. Half the time, the major moves are going to start or end around between 2:30 and 4 my time. Usually right around 3 o'clock, typically, for crude oil. The euro as well, obviously, but yeah, I think I'll probably start doing that at some point. Not yet. I mean, I've got too much work to get done before
It's good for Chris.
I'll start doing all that. But yeah, there's some people in the room that do. And just to let the cat out of the bag, I'm going to develop, it'll be a different service. It'll be a separate standalone service where I'm going to draw all of the areas in on a select number of markets, and they'll populate onto your chart so that you can, at least feel a bit more. If you're brand new to market geometry, it'll help to kind of ensure that you're drawing somewhat useful areas. I may not get them right 100% of the time. It is kind of a discretionary method, but if you're not sure that you're doing it correctly, then you could have them update automatically on your chart through a server. So that'll be by the close of the year, probably. I'm thinking November. I'd like to see that on Ninja 8. Tired of building for Ninja 7, so. Yeah, it should be cool. So that's what's another thing that's in the pipeline. Right now we're focusing on the toolbar, getting that new toolbar and drawing system done. It's going to eliminate so much code. I think it'll eliminate a lot of the strange things that we see happen in Ninja because we got so many hacks. All those are going to be done away with because now we'll have our own drawing system. And it should be about the most advanced drawing system for any platform as far as what he's told me. So that's where we're at. All right, guys, I'm going to have a long and hard-working weekend. I don't know about you. Hope you have more fun than I'm going to have. Hope you guys had a good week. I think we did all right this week. What did we do? Not sure. I think 3,500. Well, including today, I don't know. I think I made 9. I'm not sure. Let me see. Oh, sorry. $37. Okay. Well, that's all right. All right, guys. Everybody have a great weekend. And talk to you on Monday. And I'll send out an email with the update as soon as we got it. As soon as we're ready here. And then I'll have some videos to go with it. Thanks, you guys.